You want to speak English fluently, like a native English speaker, right? Well, in order to speak English fluently, you must think in English. Organize your thoughts like a native English speaker. Well, today, I'm going to teach you how to do that. Are you ready? Well then, I'm teacher Tiffany. Let's jump right in. Now, what we're going to do first is look at a situation, and we're going to organize our thoughts using the 5 W's. Who, what, when, where, and why. So here's the first situation. We see this individual, and the first W is who. Well, I'm saying her name is Samantha, and she's a journalist. What? She's writing articles about health. When? Every morning. Where? At a community workspace. Why? She has always enjoyed sharing information about staying healthy. Now, if we just pause really quickly, we see that we've organized our thoughts using the 5 W's. Looking at that short clip, we have an idea of what type of work this individual does, and we can actually speak in English fluently about her job. Watch what happens. Again, we have each W right here, and now let me show you what happens when we try to speak in English using the 5 W's. Here we go. Samantha is currently working as a journalist for a newspaper in her hometown. Every morning, she writes articles about health at the local community workspace. Being a journalist brings her so much joy because she has always enjoyed sharing information about staying healthy. Now listen, if Samantha were telling us about her job as a journalist, and she said this about herself, it would be an amazing answer. And if you, speaking about Samantha's job, described it like this, it would be an amazing answer, a fluent English response. Why? Because each of the 5 W's can be found in this response. Once again, let's go back and take a look. Samantha writes articles about health every morning, community workspace. She enjoys sharing information. Each and every piece of the 5 W's can be found in this response. Now, I do want to pause really quickly because there are 2 things I'd like to go over. First is right here, hometown. Now, I want you to repeat after me, hometown. Excellent. Last time after me, hometown. Great job. Now, hometown is just the town of one's birth or early life, or of one's present fixed residence where you're staying for a while. So my hometown is actually Maryland. I was raised in Maryland, and I actually still, at the time of this recording, currently live in Maryland. It's my hometown. Makes sense, right? Now, there's one other aspect of this response that I want to explain. Because Samantha, as a journalist, she receives joy from sharing information. So the expression is right here. Brings someone joy. After me, brings someone joy. Excellent. Last time after me, brings someone joy. Great job. Now, this just refers to something that brings joy is something that makes people experience joy or have joy. For example, it can be a person or a thing. My nieces bring me so much joy. They actually spent the weekend with me. We watched movies, ate food, we had a great time. But your hobby can also bring you joy. Someone else can bring you joy. Again, a very commonly used expression. Brings someone joy. All right, now what about a different type of job? You may say, teacher, okay, journalism, that's kind of easy to talk about, easy to organize your thoughts about. What about this one right here? Whoa, who is this? Let's start with the first W. Mark, a professional metal worker. What? He builds heavy machinery. When? For the last 10 years. Where? At his family's metal shop. Why? He is the most skilled metal worker in his family. So we have an entirely different job, but we're still using the 5 W's to think in English and then speak. So let's see how we can turn this information into a good English response. Here we go. Here's the response. Now we're speaking. Mark has been working as a professional metal worker for the last 10 years. He is well known for his metal work in the community. He is also the most skilled metal worker in his family. So he enjoys building heavy machinery at the metal shop his family owns. Come on now. That right there, if you were my student when I was in South Korea and you were trying to take a level test, trying to see if you were a beginner, an intermediate, or an advanced level learner, I would have given you an advanced level for this response because each of the 5 W's has been answered. Again, we see right here each of the 5 W's that we just listed earlier. Now, within this response, there are a few things that I do want to go over. The first one being well known. All right, so repeat after me. Well known. Excellent. Last time after me. Well known. Good job. And this just means known widely or thoroughly. A lot of people know about this individual or this person's skills or this thing. It is, he is, they are well known. So again, in our response, wow, listen, Mark is good. He is well known in the community. Now, the other expression I want to explain is right here. Heavy machinery. So I want you to repeat after me. Heavy machinery. Excellent. Again, after me. Heavy machinery. Great job. Now, this just refers to large pieces of machinery or equipment, especially those used in the building industry. So again, let's take a look at that video one more time. Look at what he's using. He's using heavy machinery. So once again, large pieces of machinery or equipment, especially those used in the building industry. So we have that down. We have a journalist, we have a metal worker. We can talk about jobs using this think in English, think and speak in English theory, right? The 5 W's. But what about this job? This is a different type of job. Right here, we have this individual, and let's start with the first W. Who? John, an accountant for a small tech shop. What? He crunches the numbers. Now, don't worry, I'm going to explain that to you. All right? When? At the close of business. Where? In the supply room. Why? He learned the importance of regularly balancing your books. Again, remember, we're trying to think and speak in English, and this focus is on different jobs. This lesson is focused on explaining your job, explaining someone's job using the 5 W's. So we have the 5 W's clearly broken down. How can we turn this into a response? Here we go. Now we're speaking. We thought in English, the first step, think. Now the second step, speak. Here we go. John is an accountant for a small tech shop downtown. In school, he learned what it meant to balance the books. So, as a rule of thumb, he crunches the numbers in the supply room at the close of business every day. Man, we have a lot of information about John and him as an accountant and what he does and even how he learned it. Again, a very good English response, speaking like a native English speaker. Now, I do want to go over a few things. There are 3 things in this response that are really important. The first is balance the books. After me, balance the books. Excellent. Last time after me, balance the books. Great job. Now, this means to literally to ensure that the figures regarding credit and debit are correct and to determine the remaining balance as in a business or in personal finance. Again, let's say you have a certain amount in your bank account and you spend a certain amount during the day. You need to make sure you didn't spend more than you had in your account. So you need to balance your books. Make sense? All right, now another one, again, expressions used in accounting. Now this one is just a general expression. You can use it in any situation. A rule of thumb. After me. A rule of thumb. Excellent. Last time after me. A rule of thumb. Great job. Now this just means a method of procedure based on experience and common sense. Again, as a rule of thumb, he does something every day. Hey, this makes sense. It makes sense for me to balance the books every day. This is a method that I've been using for a while, and it makes sense because I've done it. And in my experience, it's really good. So, as a rule of thumb. Now, the last one is right here. He said, crunch the numbers. We're talking about him and his job. Crunch the numbers. So after me, crunch the numbers. Excellent. Last time after me, crunch the numbers. Great job. Now, to process numbers. The meaning of this is to process numbers, meaning to examine, to analyze the numbers, especially to determine exactly how much money is available, needed, or something else. Again, very similar to balancing the books, but you're just trying to make sure, hey, do we have enough to cover what we want to do? We need to crunch the numbers. Okay? You got it? Excellent. Now, this is how you actually speak about any job in English. You first think using the 5 W's, who, what, when, where, and why, and then you speak. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I want you to try to do it at least one time today. I'll talk to you next time. You still there? You know what time it is. It's story time. Hey, I said it's story time. All right. So, in today's lesson, I taught you about thinking and speaking in English about different jobs, right? So I want to tell you a story about one of my first jobs. I had an internship when I was in high school. Now, I was a junior in high school. So I was about 15 or 16 years old. And I wanted a job for the summer. You want to make a little extra money when you're a kid. You want to get your own things. So I was able to find a government internship. Now in America, getting a government internship as a young person, whoo, that's amazing. So I was so happy to have been accepted into the internship program. I remember my first day walking into the job. You have to make sure you look nice, had my little bag, and I was ready. I went through the security and I went to my office. They gave me a nice desk. It wasn't a full office, but I had my own desk, my own computer, and I was just very excited. And I remember sitting down and, waiting for my first assignment, and I was just so happy to have a job. Now, as the day was going on, I was doing a little bit of work because I was brand new. So they didn't have a lot of work for me to do on that first day, but they still were letting me know how things basically ran in that office. But I remember my coworker. It was about maybe 10 o'clock. I got to work around 7:30. And around 10 o'clock, I started to notice that people really weren't in the office. It wasn't lunchtime. I said, where is everyone? So my coworker, she actually said, oh, hey, Tiffani, what are you doing? I said, I was just waiting for my next assignment. She said, oh, girl, listen. In the government, we get a 15-minute break in the morning and a 15-minute break in the afternoon. I said, oh, you mean like as a part of our lunch break? She said, no, honey, we get a lunch break and we get a 15-minute morning break and a 15-minute afternoon break. I said, wait a minute. She said, yeah, people get smoking breaks, but we don't smoke. So for those that don't smoke, you still deserve a break. I said, I agree wholeheartedly with you. Listen, y'all, when I say every morning I took my 15-minute break and every afternoon I took another 15-minute break. And I remember there was this small room at the building, inside of the building that I worked in, and it was like a quiet room. You could go in there and take a nap. Now, you all know I rise. I get up very early in the morning, and I also go to bed early as well. I also enjoy naps, and I can take a quick nap and be rejuvenated. So I can take a 10 or 15-minute nap and feel like I've slept for 3 hours. So I would take a 15-minute nap almost every day. Woo! Wake up feeling good. So I loved my government internship. Maybe you guys have some memories from when you had your first job and something happened similar, or maybe you just have a good memory with your coworkers. Let us know, share it in the comment section. I hope you guys enjoyed today's story, and I will talk to you next time.